Okay.
Well,
It's the first I heard about it, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I realize Stabler doesn't call me with everything that
And then there's another receiver here. No receiver. I'm sure.
Okay, we are live streaming.
Okay, thanks. Everybody?
Send me a copy.
Okay, we'll move on. Pat, anything you'd like to report on?
Yeah.
Sorry. You're first down there, so.
All right, well, I mean, as far as this is concerned, I
No.
spoke,
Yeah, okay.
I spoke to Mr. Thompson Friday.
Yeah, he keeps calling our office.
He keeps calling, and
Okay.
I don't know how much more clearer I need to be. But I've been speaking with a lot of the crew chiefs with the highway department and trying to identify town ditch maps with a lot of the most recent drainage complaints. So we're still working together to formulate a plan, but it's just kind of hard to do when you're by yourself and there's a multitude of complaints. I was in one this afternoon that I'm going to share later on with the highway department. That I'm amazed that the system it barely functions now. There's cattails growing out of the receivers. That's how bad it is. And there was another one yesterday that I saw. So I'm working closely with the highway department to work on a plan to address those things. And that should be enough for today. Thank you for the resolution for the vehicle as well.
Ed, anything from engineering?
No, we got the bids for the floor. It's on tonight for notice for the police station, or police building. I've got the bid package for the Sterling Place ponds. That'll be hopefully for next meeting. And hopefully for next meeting will be the rebid for the library. We should have that. I should have something for you to look at in a day or two. So hopefully we'll have it prepared.
I can barely hear you.
Oh, sorry. I said I should have the rebid package for the library.
Okay.
For you to look at within a couple of days, and then so it should be able to go on the next meeting for notice.
Okay, great.
For the police building?
Yes.
Because you're asking, can we get an architect firm with the building firm under one roof so that we're only dealing with them on that project? Have you found anything?
It's a gray area. That's considered what they call design build. And under New York state law, about 6-7 years ago, the legislature passed a law that said state agencies, DOT, Parks, DC, OGS, I believe, could use design build. And up until then, design build was not illegal in New York state. We've taken a loose interpretation of that law because the law doesn't say anybody else can't use design build. So I'm trying to flush that out. If we can, that's what it would be under. It's called a design build. What happens is you end up hiring the contractor, who in turn hires the architect. You don't get away from hiring the architect. Somebody has to have it, but it ends up being under the contractor.
So technically, we're in the same boat.
Well,
Because-
except you have one party you're contracted with versus two. Now, there's pros and cons to that. You lose some objectivity, obviously, then by not having an architect work for the town versus the contractor, but it does take away two contracts.
I don't know, what would you rather? I probably would rather have the architect under us than the contractor.
I personally recommend that for a third-party approach, because you've got a third party working for you versus working for the contractor.
Well, it didn't work out with the historical building, having the architect.
Well, correct. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, when they built the police building, they didn't have the architect on board, and there's been issues from the time that was built because of that. They had nobody third party to see.
I guess it really depends on what type of a contract we have with them, so they'll be held accountable, and there won't be any question of who's accountable if we're using an architect. Okay,
Yeah.
Make sure they're out there overseeing what's being repaired.
right. Make it very clear to them
Yeah, well,
what they're
yeah,
going
I
to be
mean,
doing.
if you make construction services part of their contract, which, Sam and I have been discussing, was part of their contract, and that's the issue we've got right now. So, But yeah, so I mean, my recommendation is you keep the independent by the third party, but you can go the other way as far as, I mean, based on my take on what I've read. So whichever way you want to go. If you want to go with a third party, that proposal I submitted, I think is still good. You can verify that for the architect. Move forward. But that's separate from the floor issue. Floor,
Right,
yeah,
no, that's separate from the floor.
Tom, anything legal? Is there anything you could mention, an update on the issue with the dogs that we had on, without breaking any legal jargon?
Yeah, I had a discussion with, is it Lieutenant Gummo? He's
Yes.
Lieutenant, right? Bill Gummo, last week, and he asked me to look into finding some additional charges based on a prior order that was issued out of our courts. And I had conversation yesterday with the DA's office on that. And I didn't do it today, although I had hoped to, but I need to meet with you on the petition for the security bond. But my understanding is that the DA's office is not taking a light look at this. They're very serious about it and fully expect a conviction on that felony. So I'm told.
Thank you. John, Highway?
Yeah, so we're, an outfit there. We are waiting for some help from the police department and from to kind of find out specifically where our jams are. From what we've seen, you know, surveying the area by foot, looks like it's going to be a huge undertaking to do that. So we're really trying to prepare the approach and what we can do to at least get the water moving again. So that's the hold up on that, and our department is still doing some of the ditching and drainage.
I haven't got an answer.
Parks, anything going on?
We finally got word from the schools that some of our activities may go. We just got word a couple of days
We
ago.
can go that route.
We didn't get anything for
If it's not.
middle school, but we got a little bit from William Street and high school. We're going to see what we can fit in. Basically, it will be maybe a little bit of swimming and a little bit of wrestling, possibly a tad of volleyball. We're still making a state if we are going to get any space at middle school.
Chief, anything from the police?
Our liaison program that we just started, has been going really well. We've got a lot of positive feedback from the schools and the teachers, so it's working out well for us.
Okay. Okay, Councilmember Mazur's not here today, and in place, Councilmember Leary's gonna do all the planning and zoning ones along with the highway, parts of wetlands, and I'll have his, the one with the school. So that will be 3, 4, 9, 12, 13, and 14 will be sponsored by Councilmember Leary.
3, 4, 9,
3, 4, 9, and then 12 through 14.
okay?
And number 11 will be myself. So I guess we could run through if there's nothing else, we could run through the resolutions. 1 is the minutes, 2 is the audit claims. Councilmember Leary, 3 and 4.
3, acknowledge issuance of the building permits. 4 is amend special use permit adopted September 6, 2022 for the Delta Car Wash Systems on Transit. Number 9 is request bids for the 2022 Ford Escape for the building department. 12, request bids Westwood Park Brickyard sod. 13, authorized special use permit for Angela DeSalt, home occupation. And 14, authorized special use permit for STEM Automotive, 149 Gunville Road. And then 15, which is mine, accept and authorize supervisor to execute proposal for sealing and restripping Lancaster Library parking lot.
Okay, then I'll go back to 5, setting the public hearing for the Community Block Development Program. And then Councilmember Burkhardt, 6 through 8.
Number 6, membership town line. Number 7, request bids for the police van, the Mercedes-Benz. Number 8, request bids, police building floor replacement.
You have 10 as well.
Yep. Number 10, accept and authorize supervisor to execute quote for replacement of 15 horsepower return fan motors, public safety building.
Okay, I have 11, and that's Lancaster High School band, the use with the picnic, Lions Picnic Shelter, and Youth Girl Band Shelter. And then 16, Councilmember Burkhart.
Authorize highway superintendent to execute annual highway work permit applications.
And Councilmember Dickman for 17.
17 is just Autumnwood subdivision Phase 2, permit for private improvements.
And number 18 is just a change in a resolution to send a different officer to training. Bob, that's the overview.
Okay.
And then
So we have,
these are both
yeah,
suspended?
we have 2 suspended resolutions.
Okay, it wasn't listed.
No, they won't. be.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the second one,
Which is one. This one?
yeah.
Okay, so this is, we have 2 suspended resolutions, one by Councilmember Leary.
Which is basically for approval to, as presented, the amendments and extensions to the respective current employment contracts for Chief Karn, Captain Lorenzo, and Captain Smith.
And the second suspended, and apologies for the suspension, but the person just accepted the job today. Unfortunately, we did lose Morgan to the school system, a heavy loss in our department, but we did pick up a person by the name of Lynn King who has some great experience. She did come out of the, actually, school system, so she has some good experience, and it's, you know, we're fortunate, but we need to start her sooner than later because of, again, like I said, there's a lot going on in our office with very limited resources. And that's it for the resolutions.
My understanding is the person should be on the step.
The person should not be on step, and I have numerous resolutions showing that these positions, we actually had a clerk in your office that wasn't on step.
She wasn't stepping at the supervisor's office when she worked there.
Okay, wasn't on step, but also wasn't on step was the, someone on highway.
Yeah, highway doesn't count, because it's no
Okay, dog control, all the dog control people.
doesn't count either.
So,
White collar.
yeah, but this is a $18 an hour job. It's permanent, it's part-time.
I know, and I'm just going to put my 2 cents in here. I think it's a slap in the face to the part-timers that have gone through the town clerk's office for decades and have been on step. Myself, Karen Loescher, Donna Martin, Suzanne Blank, Mary Nowak have all gone through step twice. Once as a part-timer and once as a full-timer. So for this to be changed, to have an exception because she's working in your office, I find,
It's not an exception because it was done with numerous employees, and I'll tell you.
But I don't see any-
If this person declines the job, I hope you have someone to come and help our office because
I
the
filled 2
work's not gonna get
positions.
done.
I filled 2 positions this year myself. I understand how difficult it is.
I had 50-something applications, 25 didn't qualify, 30 didn't qualify because of residency, and there wasn't much to choose from. So
Well,
if you're going to argue over an
that's-
$18 an hour job,
I am.
think it's senseless.
Then I don't see why we're going through step in my office for all these years. We should have to refund their money, all the money that they lost. Any clerk position in the town has to go through step.
You can leave up to the board. Again, like I said, people want to, this person will take the job, I'm sure, if you put her on step. So if some, you folks want to turn it down and come and assist our office, there's a lot of stuff that has to be done. People's checks are depending on this. We're a hurting office right now, so. you know,
I had 2 people that I needed to fill.
You're well-staffed,
and-
Diane.
And the same thing.
You're well-staffed. My office has 2 people, okay? The other people work for the whole town. My office has Cindy and Sharon. That's all we have, 2 people. The other people are basically doing jobs for the whole town. They're doing jobs, director of finance is for the whole town. The assistant to the supervisor, she's doing payroll or comp cases, that's all for the whole town. And, okay, Morgan was doing payroll, all for the town. Not the supervisor's office. We are limited in staff. I kept us lean and mean. Actually, there's a reduction in this job. Okay, it was a $31 an hour job. We cut it down to a clerk's position to $18 an hour. We're saving the town of money for the town by doing this. Again, we're gonna give it a shot to see if it works. I think we can get by with it. If not, we'll have to revisit it. But I think it'd be pretty foolish to put a person on step that would probably turn this down and lose this person.
So are we going to then, from now on, take everybody off their step for all the other jobs throughout the town?
I don't see any of them being on step. I mean, I'm looking at all these resolutions, none
None
of
of
them on
those are
step.
clerks.
None of them are. Well,
Then
that's
if-
Not one is a
clerk right
Then
there.
I would recommend every clerk is off step.
Linda Shepherd,
Period.
Always have been.
Right, but
Always.
if this is,
I mean,
it's
is
not
this,
fair, it's not fair to you, we either stick with what has gone on in the clerk's office with STEP, and instead of bumping her down to $31 or $18, then pay what that clerk should be worth.
The only
And
reason.
put her on STEP.
I'm sorry for interrupting. The only reason that Morgan was paid $31 an hour is because she was a full-time employee. When she went down to part-time, they did not reduce her pay like it should have been.
you want to put
I
her...
mean, this is a union contract too, right? That
This is a
demands-
non-union person.
Right, right, it's a
And they
non-union.
don't
But
get
they
any
abide,
benefits.
but they abide by the white collar contract.
They don't get any benefits. You want to put her $31 and put her on step. I'm sure
It's
she's
not what I want to do.
Okay.
But what I'm-
trying to
what
do
I'm saying,
the
though,
right
is
thing,
if-
what has always been done.
If the precedence is a STEP, we should be following what was set and what white collar outside of the union has been doing for all this time.
I'm showing you a few number of them.
Show me a clerk
That's highway clerk.
and
Caitlin
white collar.
Walsh.
Wait,
Caitlin-
that's
Caitlin-
not white collar.
But
Linda Shepherd. Linda Shepherd.
Then she should have been, and Linda was on step in the supervisor's office.
She was not. Here's her,
In the supervisor's office, she certainly was.
here it is, 1756, back in the 2020. There's no step in here. There's no step. There's no step in any of these.
She was full-time.
19 and 3/4 hours, part-time position, just like,
That's in the clerk's office. This is not in the supervisor's
but
office.
she didn't go to step.
She was on step in the supervisor's office,
But you're saying she went to the clerk's office, she didn't go on step.
because she was already on step.
For the clerk's office?
If they had followed suit and did the double like they did for almost everyone else, then yes, she should have been on step
But she
to
wasn't.
finish her,
But she wasn't. Again, like I said, it'd be foolish to try to put this person on step to lose a person.
then we have to make sure nobody else goes on step after this.
I would agree with these
And the-
jobs that are $18 or stuff like that. You're gonna put them on step. This is really for,
my opinion, nobody should be on step. You have your 6 month, and if you want to put them up to full, at that moment, fine. But probationary period, but I mean,
I'm only saying that what has always been done should be continued unless this board decides against it. You're having a person start at full wage next to a person who went, in the same title that has gone on step. If you want to change it, that's up to you. I'm just saying that this is not.
again, like I'm saying, if we don't get this person hired, then other departments are gonna have to step up and start sending some people our way. Because, again, I went through a lot of interviews. I had numerous people take the job and turn it down. I think they're just checking a box. We finally have somebody that has the experience with government, with school, and could add a lot of value and come in and jump in right away. She has payroll experience too. I think you're getting a pretty good bargain at $18 an hour. But anyway, it's not my call. We have 4 board members here to vote on it.
Well, I'm all for hiring the person, but at the step program, so how are we gonna break that up?
I'm not gonna put her on step. And she's not gonna
Well,
take
then
the
you're
job.
pulling it, we're not pulling it, because we're willing to hire her or I'm willing to hire her at step.
She's not gonna take the job. The job was presented to her at $18 an hour. She will not take the job. To be put at, what, step program, or for what? You're arguing about $18 an hour here. We've been bumping up dog control officers left and right. Are you kidding me?
we're going to go down that road again. Come on out and see what they did at White's house and what they do. Everyone around here thinks dog control is getting little fluffy and holding them and feeding them a biscuit. It is not. And it's ridiculous that that's brought up. We could say somebody's just typing something. Why are they making that much money? That's not, what I'm saying
talking
is,
about the rate hikes and no step. They're not on step either,
they're not on step.
okay?
They're not, but they're not in a clerk position. And
It's not in
again,
the
if
resolution
she's
as
doing,
well.
what I don't understand around here is why, if somebody is qualified and made $31 an hour, And just because somebody's part-time and they get no benefits, she's gonna make $13 an hour less, right? Because she's doing the same work.
But
No.
Morgan only got that because that was her wage at full-time.
But what I'm saying is that-
And then when she went
right.
down to part-time, they forgot to reduce her wage to a
Right,
part-time.
what I'm saying though is, I don't understand if it is the exact same position without any benefits, and this goes across the board, I just don't mean this job. Why we are paying somebody this much, but if you're part-time, you're gonna get dropped down to this much to do the same job? I don't understand that.
So we're not gonna have her do payroll. I'm shifting duties in my office to make it more efficient.
But you just said she knows how to do payroll.
She does, she'll assist with payroll, but it won't, Morgan's role was strictly payroll. 100%. So Lisa's is assuming a lot of the payroll duties.
I'm just saying, this isn't a seasonal job, which I had at the town years ago. Yeah, you did make less. But an RN that works part-time and an RN that works full-time, you don't get paid less money because you're doing the same work. So I'm just saying, I don't understand it, doesn't make sense, but if we had steps involved before, then it should be a step.
Because we're not hiring her as a payroll supervisor, we're hiring her as a clerk typist, which, that's what they make. It's not fair to her office if we go ahead and hire her as a clerk typist and give her $31 an hour.
Right.
And I agree on that too. But when you said she had payroll experience, she had all of this, it sounded like she's gonna be helping out doing everything.
We're a small staff. We don't have 19 people running around in our office, okay? We just don't.
So when you're on the step,
They're
what
gonna
is it?
share duties.
On the step, you start at, what is it, 90, 95, and 100? How long
No.
is it at each increment?
No, no.
Yeah, isn't it 90%? So that would be $1.60 an hour less to start or something like that. Are you 100% confident that she will turn down the job at that?
It was offered to her at $18 an hour. I'm not gonna go back on my word. Okay, I looked at these, I see that there's no step for part-time people. So that's what I go by. That's what I'm going by.
There wasn't a step for Katie either. And there's not a step when the part-time laborers come in and work the summer. They just come in at the same.
Temporary,
I don't know how
temporary and
it is.
seasonal do not count,
But Katie did not start on the step.
and then she should have.
That
I don't know why it's,
We haven't.
some
done-
here, some there. Why isn't it uniform?
Well-
I don't understand it.
I didn't know part-time was step. I thought that was full-time.
No.
Then I propose for next meeting, we have a resolution that we will get rid of all the steps for the clerks.
Well, that's something we got to take a good long look at,
Yeah?
because it's going to hit the budget pretty hard.
Part-time though.
Part-time.
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 Oh, yeah, we can discuss it, sure. But, I don't know. I mean, for now, why should, some people have gone through it and the other ones don't have to? I don't know.
And it hasn't changed. Yeah.
We got guys in the rec department that have been on step for like 5 years.
Full-time,
Yeah, full-time.
full-time people.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about part-time permanent right now. That's another,
Yeah, part-time, 19
Yeah.
3/4 hours
Right.
or less.
That's full-time. But they say they're not permanent.
So anyway, it is. All right, we'll take a short recess. Be back in 7.
The live streaming is still on.
Minutes, I'm gonna go copy that and give this back to you.
okay.
Excuse me.
Because that's
need to be in the meeting,
That is private property north.
and you can talk about anything.
Yeah, there's a meeting. Okay, now, what is that about? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
I don't know, it just depends on how.
Depends on the amount of, you know, I'm really interested in it. I want to know what kind of penalties a boat owner or a recreational person if you have like a recreational vehicle, is it going to be, what kind of penalties are you going to face?
Maybe doing something against the code?
Yeah. It's in the paper that you guys are going to be discussing and talk over, you know what I mean?
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Right. Matt, do we have a meeting, you're talking about recreational vehicles?
Well, it's like this, if you had a recreational vehicle and a boat, what are we facing?
And so what the penalty would be if we have these things again?
Well, any penalty against the code, there's either a 200,
Sir?
a blanket penalty for violations, there's a $250 fine per violation. It's,
I mean, if I've been a resident here like 60 years, and I have a boat, and it's in the backyard, and I have a recreational vehicle.
Yeah.
It's not a big thing, just a little truck.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not on the street, we're way in the back.
yeah, if it's parked in the rear yard, you're in compliance with the code. You're fine. That's where the code requires it to be. You're in compliance with the code.
I'm complying with the code, I'm paying, for a legis for that boat, you know what I mean? But I just want to know what kind of changes is going to be taking place.
I don't think we've scheduled that public hearing yet for comment. I don't think it's out there for discussion. This is just a regular town board meeting tonight, and I don't think the clerk has formally publicized a comment and
Yeah,
input
but
for the
it's
residents.
you guys that's going to get together and discuss that.
Once the clerk publishes the date and the time of that hearing, that's when the public needs to come in and have those discussions.
Okay, so
My recommendation would be is to write the town board and provide your opinion on the discussion, and then come the night of the public hearing
Okay.
to have that discussion and get some questions answered.
Okay. It's going to be a simple thing. I just, up to now, no problem, and it's way in the back and
Yeah,
everything.
and it already sounds like there's nothing that you're doing that's not compliant to the existing
Right,
code.
right.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So it'll be publicized when we're going to have that meeting.
That's correct. Yes, sir. Okay, you're welcome.
Diane, we got some emails coming today.
Okay. I know. But it's always, because we follow the contract, it's always been that way.
Diane, I saw a couple people walking in today, and I asked the one gentleman, I said, "Are you guys up in the Opera House?" He says, "Oh, yes." I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's Man of La Mancha. We open on Friday. They're doing a musical." He says, "It's a 90-minute, no intermission, boom, 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 straight through." And I said, "We hear you practicing, or rehearsing, or whatever you want to call it." So, but nobody really, I don't think anybody bothered to, take a 4-minute run upstairs to see what you guys were doing. So that's what they're doing all up there.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. All these meetings that we hear this.
All right.
That's what they're practicing for.
Good.
Now, what I don't know is, I don't know if it's like, is it through the youth bureau or is it a local theater playhouse type of thing? I don't know what that is.
It is.
It's
It
not
is.
through
But
the, I doubt
it's rewarding
it's
to
the
at
youth
the same
bureau
time.
because school's in session.
Fair, yeah, okay.
I know, it's only because he's small.
Other than that, I'm not sure.
Society, you've seen.
No, somebody's putting it
Yeah, nice.
And you have.
in. If you need anything from me, get it from me.
I spend a lot of time in Wyoming County. Oh, I know.
You're aware.
You got it.
Oh, nothing that nice. Actually, just that nice, just not that warm. We're close to my aunt's campus.
Oh, I will.
And I've been up there so many years. It's just, well, you want to go? I'm like, give me 48 hours to see what I can do in my schedule.
Good.
Do you have Emily's number? Obviously, you have Lisa's number. Because I was speaking with Bob Leary, and he says, well, how do we reach Emily? I said, well, how about I just give the town board her phone number? I'm not going to do it here, but,
Yeah, I've got it.
okay.
No problem.
Mr. Dickman and Mr. Burkhardt, do you have Emily Orlando's phone number? Do you need her next week? My deputy? Attorney?
You good?
If not, I'll get it out. All right, I'll put out an email to you guys.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Here.
Councilmember Dickman?
Here.
Councilmember Leary?
Here.
Councilmember Mazer? Supervisor Rufino?
Here. I'll do the pledge and the invocation in place of Councilmember. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where there is charity and wisdom, there is neither fear nor ignorance. Where there is patience and humility, there is neither anger nor annoyance. Where there is love and joy, there is neither greed nor selfishness. Where there is peace and meditation, there is neither anxiety nor doubt. So tonight's meeting, as we noted, Councilmember Mazer is not here. Councilmember Leary will be doing most of his resolutions. I'll be doing one of his. We have 18 pre-filed resolutions and 2 suspended, one being for the hiring in the my office, and then the other one being for the negotiations for the chief and the captains. Okay, we have no public hearings. We have 2 executive sessions, one under number 8, collective bargaining negotiations, and one under number 2, Parks and Recreation Department. We'll be closing in memory of Thomas P. Myziak. At this time, I'll ask anybody in the audience that'd like to speak about any of the 18 pre-filed or 2 suspended resolutions. Maybe I'll ask for a second and a third time. Okay, we're going to move on to official reports. Anything? No? Anything?
Just with dog control, we're still just waiting on a spot on the floor to get fixed before the final walkthrough. Person was on vacation, so MGR cannot, speak with them to come in and fix it. So that's what we're waiting on.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Okay. Then we're going to move on to our resolutions. I'd like to move resolution number 1. This is resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board held September 6, 2022, being hereby approved. May I get a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 2, and this is out the following audit claims being hereby ordered paid from the respective accounts as per abstract to be filed in the office of the town clerk by the assistant to the supervisor. It's check run number 09202022. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid is $555,392.67. May I get a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. And then Councilmember Leary, you're going to have 3 and 4 in place of Councilmember Mazer.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor, honorable town board members, I move the following 2 resolutions for adoption. Be it resolved that the following building permit applications be and are hereby reaffirmed. And what we have this week is we have 47 total permits for the town, 16 for the village. The town includes 13 for fencing, 12 for roofs, 3 generator, 2 pools, 7 sheds, 1 deck, 1 porch, 3 signs, 1 plumbing, 1 dumpster, 1 commercial. And for the village, you have 2 fences, 5 roofs, 1 generator, 2 sheds, 2 plumbing, 3 commercial ad alternations, and 1 sign.
Make it a second.
Oh, hang on one
You gotta
second.
read that.
Sorry, sir. Therefore, be it resolved that the building permit applications herein coded CSB for conditional sidewalk waiver be and are hereby reaffirmed with a waiver of the town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition that the town of Lancaster at any future date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the property owner.
Make it a second.
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution number 4, whereby resolution adopted on September 6, 2022, the town board of the town of Lancaster granted the special use permit renewal to James A. Bagoli on behalf of Delta Sonic Car Wash Systems Incorporated to operate a car wash with 16 gas pumps, interior detailing, and both indoor and outdoor vacuums on premises located at 4817 Transit Road for a 2-year period in the town of Lancaster, and whereas due to an administrative error, Mr. Baglioli, my apologies, was referenced as president of Daniel Management and Development, which was incorrect and shall not have been included in the resolution, and whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster has determined that the aforementioned resolution should be amended. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the resolution adopted September 6, 2022, granting the special use permit renewal to Mr. Baglio on behalf of Delta Sonic Car Wash Systems Incorporated to operate a car wash with 16 gas pumps, interior detailing, indoor and outdoor vacuums on the premises 4817 Transit Road for a 2-year period. It's hereby amended by removal of the incorrect reference to Mr. Baglioli as president of Daniel Management and Development in the second whereas paragraph.
Make it a second.
Second?
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 5, whereas the town of Lancaster intends to apply for federal community development funds known as Community Development Block Grant Funds for the 2023-2024 year and must identify eligible projects which would benefit low to moderate income persons within the town. Whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster deems it in the public interest to hold a public hearing to provide an opportunity for citizens to express community development and housing needs and to discuss proposals to meet those needs to assist the town board in the development of the town's application for community development block grant funds. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the public hearing to provide an opportunity for citizens to express community development and housing needs and to discuss possible projects which would benefit low and moderate income persons in the town of Lancaster will be held at Town Hall here at 21 Central Avenue on the 3rd day of October 2022 at 7:05 p.m. and notice of the time and place of such hearing be published in the Lancaster Bee, a local newspaper of general circulation in said town, and be on the town bulletin board, which notice shall be in a form attached hereto and made a part hereof. May I get a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 6 through 8, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I am offering Resolutions 6, 7, and 8 for adoption. Whereas the Town Line Volunteer Fire Department, by letter dated September 6, 2022, has requested the addition of 1 member to the roster of said fire association. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby confirms the addition to the membership of the Town Line Volunteer Fire Department the following individual: Dylan Wright.
May I get a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Larry?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 7, whereas Sean Domino, Detective Lieutenant in the Town of Lancaster Police Department, by letter dated September 7th, 2022, has requested authorization to solicit bids for the purchase of one new and unused 2022 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, either all-wheel or four-wheel drive, for use by the Detective Bureau, as no responses were received for the previous bid request, and whereas the Town Board has given due review and consideration to the request and deems it in the public's interest to invite public bids again in conformance with general municipal law, subsection 103 of the state of New York, and now therefore be it resolved as follows. Number 1, that all sealed bids for the purpose of purchasing one new and unused 2022 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, either all-wheel or four-wheel drive, for use by the Detective Bureau shall be received in the office of the Town Clerk by September 29th, 2022 at 10 a.m. local time, and open thereafter in the council chamber of the Lancaster Town Hall, 21 Central Ave, Lancaster, New York, in accordance with specifications on file in the town clerk's office. Number 2, that the town clerk be and hereby authorized to place a notice to bidders in the Lancaster Bee and post notices therefore as required by law, which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made a part hereof.
May I get a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
Resolution 8, whereas consulting town engineer Ed Schiller of William Shutt and Associates, by email dated September 9th, 2022, has requested that the town board authorize an invitation to bid for the replacement of the police building floor. And whereas the project consists of installation of approximately 5,220 square feet of flooring within the police building located at 525 Pavement Road in the town of Lancaster, and whereas the town board has given due review and consideration to the request made by Edward Schiller and deems it in the public interest to invite public bids in conformance with the general municipal law, subsection 103 of the state of New York. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby authorizes an invitation of public bids for the replacement of 5,220 square feet of flooring within the police building located at 525 Pavement Road, and be it further resolved that the issuing office for the bidding documents is Avalon Document Services. Prospective bidders may examine the bidding documents at the issuing office or at the offices of William Shutt Associates Construction Exchange of Buffalo and Western New York, or Dodge Reports. Copies of the bidding documents may be obtained from the issuing office beginning at 9 a.m. on Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. Completed bid documents are to be received in the office of the town clerk, 21 Central Ave, Lancaster, New York, no later than 10 a.m. local time on October 13th, 2022, and open thereafter.
May I get a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, number 9, please.
Mr. Supervisor, honorable town board members, I move resolution number 9 for adoption. Whereas Matt Fiscione, Code Enforcement Officer of the town of Lancaster, by letter dated September 12, 2022, has requested authorization to solicit bids for the purchase of one new and unused 2022 Ford Escape four-wheel drive for the use by the building department, and whereas the building department will be considering a trade-in allowance for a 2007 Chevrolet Equinox. Are we trading this in, or are we putting it up for sale?
Trading it in.
Isn't it going up for auction?
Should go up for
It
auction.
should go up for auction.
We have been putting these vehicles up for auction. I mean, that'd be what we'd be doing with it at this point, so is there any objection to that?
It was always considered for a trade-in to reduce the price of the vehicle, since it is an asset of the department. as opposed to putting up a public auction and have the proceeds go into the general fund.
Well, we've been getting more money out of auctioning these off, and I believe that the money has been going back to the different departments. Is that correct?
The police department has.
Yeah. So why don't we
I've got no objection to putting it up for auction, provided we replace this vehicle.
Okay, can we change that on here, Diane? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You've been getting almost twice as much. So
I get quite a bit more money for the auctions and what the trade.
I think we just got like 24 grand for that Tahoe.
Okay, so we're going to auction this off. Okay. Whereas the town board has given due review and consideration to the request and deems it in the public's interest to invite public bids in conformance with general municipal law, Section 103 of the State of New York, now therefore be it resolved as follows, that bids shall be received in the office of the town clerk by October 6, 2022, at 10 a.m. local time at the Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, for the purpose of purchasing one new and unused 2022 Ford Escape SE four-wheel drive for the use of the building department in accordance with specifications on file in the town clerk's office, that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized to place a notice to builders in the Lancaster Bee and post notices thereof as required by law, which notice shall be in the form attached hereto and made a part hereof.
May I have a second
Second?
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 10, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I'm offering Resolution Number 10 for adoption. Whereas the Deputy Highway Superintendent of the Town of Lancaster has notified the Town Board that the 15-horsepower return fan motors in the AHU on both the court and the police sides of the public safety building located at 525 Pavement Road need replacing. And whereas the town previously entered into an agreement with Greater Niagara Mechanical to provide maintenance services for HVAC units within the town's public safety building, and whereas Greater Niagara Mechanical submitted proposals for replacing both 15-horsepower return fan motors in the AHU at cost of $3,390 for the court side and $3,790 on the police side in accordance with the Town of Lancaster's procurement policy, and whereas by letters dated September 9, 2022, the Deputy Highway Superintendent has recommended that the Town of Lancaster accept Greater Mechanical's quotes with funding from these replacements being available from the town's 2022 Buildings, Equipment, Other Capital Outlay Budget, line item 01-1620-0260. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby accepts and authorizes the supervisor to execute the quotes dated August 31, 2022, from Greater Niagara Mechanical, 7311 Ward Road, North Tonawanda, New York, to replace the 15-horsepower return fan motors in the AHU on both the court and police sides of the public safety building located at 525 Pavement Road for a total expenditure not to exceed $7,180, which will be paid for with the funds available from the town's 2022 Buildings, Equipment, Other Capital Outlay Budget.
May I get a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 11. This resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby grants the Lancaster High School Symphonic Band's request to use the Town of Lancaster's Lions Picnic Shelter and Youth Bureau's band shell with access to the restrooms for their annual band picnic and 13th Annual Symphonic Band Ops Concert to be held on Sunday, September 25th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. May I get a second?
Second?
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, you have 12 through 15.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor and honorable town board members, I move resolutions 12 through 14 for adoption. Resolution 12, whereas by letter dated September 13th, 2022, Town of Lancaster's Deputy Highway Superintendent has requested that the town board authorize an invitation to bid for the furnishing of approximately 95,085 square feet of bluegrass sod for the Brickyard Baseball Field within the town of Lancaster's Westwood Park. And whereas the town board has given due review and consideration to the request and deems it in the public interest to invite public bids in conformance with general municipal law, section 103 of the state of New York, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby authorizes an invitation of public bids for the furnishing of approximately 95,085 square feet of bluegrass sod for the Brickyard Baseball Field within the town of Lancaster's Westwood Park. And be it further resolved that the issuing office for the bidding department is Avalon Document Services. Prospective bidders may examine the bidding documents at the issuing office or at the offices of William Shutt Associates Construction Exchange, William Shutt Associates or Construction Exchange of Buffalo and Western New York, or Dodge Reports. And copies of the bidding documents may be obtained from the issuing office beginning at 9 a.m. on Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. Completed bid documents are to be received in the office of the town clerk at 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, no later than 10 a.m. local time on September 28th, 2022, and opened thereafter.
May I get a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes.
Resolution 13. Whereas on September 6, 2022, the town board of the town of Lancaster held a public hearing pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 78, Special Use Permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, upon the application of Angela DeSalt for a special use permit for a home occupation, which is accounting and tax services, on behalf of Joyce Miska, owner of real property located at 4982 William Street, Lancaster, New York. And whereas persons for and against such special use permit have had an opportunity to be heard, and whereas Code Enforcement Officer Matt Ficione has inspected the property and found it to be in conformance with the home occupation section of the town code for this special use permit, per his letter dated July 20th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that, 1, pursuant to Chapter 50 zoning, Section 400, titled Home Occupations of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does hereby grant a special use permit to Angela DeSalt for a home occupation, accounting and tax services, on behalf of Joyce Miska, owner of real property located at 4982 William Street, Lancaster, New York, upon the terms and conditions as set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning September 20th, 2022 and ending September 19th, 2024. 2, that the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions as set forth in Section 400 and 400-16 and 400-78 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster for as long as she continues to engage in the home occupation on the premises, namely, A, only persons residing on the premises shall be engaged in such occupation. B, there shall be no other changes in the outside appearance of the building or premises or other visible evidence of the conduct of such home occupation, except for the existing signage advertising the office of a resident professional, which shall not be illuminated as in limited to and is limited to 6 square feet. Applicant will obtain and provide at each renewal a copy of the Business New York State Tax Identification Number and/or Federal Employee Identification Number. And D, special use permit must be renewed every 2 years at no additional cost to the applicant. Renewal is considered upon the property owner submitting a written renewal request to the town clerk with all required documents on or before September 19th, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes.
Resolution number 14. Whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster has held a public hearing on September 6, 2022, pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, Article 14, Administration and Enforcement, Section 400-78 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, upon the application of Matthew Gohl, owner of STEM Automotive, to use the existing building located at 149 Gunville Road, Building 3, Unit 2, as a motor vehicle repair shop in the town of Lancaster, Erie County. Whereas persons for and against such special use permit have had an opportunity to be heard, And whereas Matt Fiscione, Code Enforcement Officer of the Town of Lancaster, has inspected the facility, which has been operating without an operational permit or a special use permit since October 2021, and has recommended a probational approval of the special use permit per his letter dated July 20th, 2022. Now therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, Article 5, Commercial Districts, Section 400-7, Light Commercial, subsection B1U of the Code of Town of Lancaster, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does hereby grant a special use permit to Matthew Gohl, owner of STEM Automotive, to use the existing building located at 149 Gunville Road as a motor vehicle repair shop in the Town of Lancaster, upon the conditions as set forth in the zoning ordinance. That, number two, that the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions as set forth in 14-17, 14-19, supplementary regulations for LC and GC, and section 400-78 special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and to any additional conditions listed herein, as long as the applicant continues to engage in the occupation listed above on the premises, namely, A, permit must be renewed annually until ongoing deficiencies are remedied at no additional cost to the applicant. Renewal request is considered upon the property owner submitting a request in writing to the town clerk on or before September 19th, 2023. B, failed inspection items listed on the December 20th, 2021 checklist report previously provided to the applicant must be remedied, and issuance of an operational permit pursuant to Town Code Article 1, Chapter 140. All operations and activities shall be completely enclosed in buildings. And D, applicant will provide a copy of the business New York State Federal Tax Employer Identification Number, and when applicable, a license from the appropriate regulatory agency for the service being provided.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes.
And I'm also, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board members, I am pushing resolution number 15 for adoption. Whereas Michelle Barbaro, Deputy Highway Superintendent for the Town of Lancaster, has notified the Town Board that the parking lot at the Lancaster Library, located at 5466 Broadway in the Town of Lancaster, is in need of being sealed and restriped. And whereas the Deputy Highway Superintendent solicited proposals for this project in accordance with the town's procurement policy and received 2 responses. And whereas by letter dated September 13, 2022, the Deputy Highway Superintendent has recommended that the Town of Lancaster award the project for sealing and restriping the Lancaster Library's parking lot to Ace Sealing Company, Incorporated, in the amount of $3,815 per their quote dated August 12, 2022. Whereas funding for the parking lot improvements is available from the library resurfacing materials budget line and the building's resurfacing materials budget line. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby accepts and authorizes the supervisor to execute the proposal for the sealing and restriping of the Lancaster Library's parking lot project located at 5466 Broadway from Ace Sealing Company, 16 Birchwood Common, Lancaster, New York, in accordance with their quote dated August 12, 2022, for an amount not to exceed $3,815 to be paid for with funds available from the library's resurfacing material budget line and the building's resurface material budget line, 2 budget lines in there.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, number 16, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I'm offering Resolution 16 for adoption. Whereas the Town of Lancaster from time to time receives permits from the New York State Department of Transportation and otherwise conducts activities and operations upon highways and/or within right-of-ways controlled by the State of New York for such purposes of obstruction, installation, construction, maintenance, and/or operation of facilities And whereas the town's access and operation upon state right-of-ways and conditioned upon compliance with highway law sections 52, 103, 203, and/or 234, including the condition that the town assume all responsibilities for A, the temporary control of all modes of traffic, including motorized and non-motorized travel, affected by the town's operations. B, complete restoration of state facilities to their condition prior to permitted use of activity. C, all claims, damages, losses, and expenses. And D, shall be responsible for the maintenance of the truck route signage and any accident claims for Broadway, Walden Avenue, and Genesee Street within the town of Lancaster. And whereas the New York State DOT requires the annual execution of the highway work permit application for utility work, Form Perm 32, and the highway work permit application of non-utility work, Form Perm 33, to allow all utility work to be done in state highway right-of-ways, and whereas it in the best interest of the town of Lancaster to authorize the highway superintendent to execute both the aforementioned New York State DOT highway work permit applications. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby agrees to be responsible for the maintenance of the truck route signage and any accident claims for Broadway, Walden Avenue, and Genesee Street within the town of Lancaster, and authorizes the highway superintendent to execute the annual highway work permit applications, Perm 32 and 33.
May I have a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 17, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I offer Resolution 17 for its adoption. Whereas the developer has requested the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster acknowledge the completion of work regarding private improvements within Autumnwood Subdivision Phase 2 within the Town of Lancaster, and whereas the Town Engineer by letter dated the Town Board on September 12, 2022 has inspected the improvements and has recommended them to be deemed complete, and whereas the Town Attorney's Office by letter to the Town Clerk dated September 14, 2022 has reported his favorable review for acknowledging the completion of these private improvements. Now therefore be it resolved that the completed private improvement number 834 for pavement and curbs, stormwater, and water line within Autumnwood Subdivision Phase 2B and are hereby approved and acknowledged as completed by the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster.
May I have a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution number 18. This resolves that Lieutenant Ronald Giza and Lieutenant Angela Greco of the Town of Lancaster Police Department are hereby authorized to attend the 2022 FBI Great Lakes Leadership Seminar in Niagara Falls, New York from October 2nd through the 7th, 2022. And be it further resolved that the total cost of the attendance for the two officers at the above-mentioned training course is hereby authorized in an amount not to exceed $750 for actual and necessary expenses, including the cost of registration and meal expenses for the 6 days on the specific dates of training. And be it further resolved that all requests for reimbursement must be presented in the form of original itemized receipts for actual and necessary expenses upon submission of proper documentation to the County Department of the Town of Lancaster. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. So I'll ask we have two suspended resolutions, so I'll make a request to suspend the necessary rules for immediate consideration.
I'll make a
Ma'am?
motion to suspend the rules.
And can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah. On the roll, please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino?
Yes. Councilwoman Leary, you have the first one.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor, honorable town board members, I move the first suspended resolution for adoption. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves, as presented, the amendments and extensions to the respective current employment contracts for Chief William Karn, Police Captain Marco Lorienzo, and Police Captain Jeffrey Smith, And be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster be and is hereby authorized to execute the amendments and extensions to the respective employment contracts for Chief Karn, Captain Lorienzo, and Captain Smith on behalf of the town of Lancaster, which will cover their 2022 and 2023 employment period. That actually goes 2024 and 2025 as well. So can we do that as a, write that in there, Diane?
Hold on. So it'll be 2020,
Okay. No, I'm. Yeah, like the 2 and 3. We extended it to 24 and 25.
We'll just extend
It's
it at the
24
same
and
rates.
25. So it's 2022 through 2025.
May I have a second
Second.
on the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. I'd like to move the second suspended resolution. And be it resolved, the following individual is hereby appointed to the following part-time permanent position in the town of Lancaster Supervisor's Office, working not more than 19 3/4 hours per week. Now, this being a part-time position provides no health insurance, sick days, vacations, or other fringe benefits not specifically mandated for a part-time employee. This person's name is Lynn King. She's a Lancaster resident. It's going to be a clerk position in our office, pay rate of $18. Effective date is September 21st. Be it further resolved that the supervisor of the town of Lancaster shall be authorized to take all necessary action to implement the foregoing. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. Okay, so when you're ready for communications?
Yep.
Okay. 592 goes to the town attorney. 593 through 596 received and filed. 597 through 601 planning committee. 602 received and filed. 603 resolution tonight. 604 through 607 received and filed. 608 resolution tonight. 609 planning committee. 610 for resolution. 611 through 613 resolution tonight. 614 planning committee. 615 resolution tonight. 616 for resolution. 617 through 619 is planning committee. 620 resolution tonight. 621 for resolution. 622 and it's received and filed. 623 is planning committee. And 624 is planning committee. 625 and 626 resolution tonight. 627 is received and filed. 628 resolution tonight. 629 was a duplicate. 630 planning committee. 631 for resolution. 632 through 633 received and filed. 634 for resolution, and 635 received and filed. So at the part of the meeting where anybody in the audience can speak about any subject matter, I recognize you by your hand raised. Please come up to the microphone, give your name and address, so the clerk can properly record it. And you have 5 minutes or less to make your point.
Good evening. My name is John Forries. I live at 8 Parkdale Drive, Lancaster. The issue I have today is the same one I had several months ago in June. I just want to reiterate the problem. My neighbor got a building permit to put a vinyl fence around his backyard, which adjoins my property on the front. Unfortunately, when they completed this project, I had an inspector from the Lancaster come down, and he realized this wasn't to code. He had 2 major violations. So they had to go there, redo part of the fence, and the other part of the fence, which faces me, has not been remediated. It's the same. It's a 4-foot fence where it should be a 3. That's by code. So nothing has happened. I've talked to everybody, I come here and I talk to you. Now I noticed that there's a safety issue here. When I take my car and I back it in, I back my car in the driveway to make it easier to get out. So when I'm driving out, I can't see the sidewalk. It's obstructed by the fence. Whatever you do with it, it's until my front tires hit the sidewalk. That's when I can see somebody coming down the road, not the roadway, but the sidewalk. This is a major issue. Now, it's not bad during the day, but guess what? It's getting darker. And these kids are out at 6, 5, whatever, and it's dark. They don't have a chance. I'm not going to see them at all. And nobody else is, too. I'm not the only one that drives out of my driveway. I'm the first house, so everybody turns around in my driveway. I even got people who pull in past the sidewalk and then immediately back out. They don't know what the hazards are here. This is a major deal. You know, and I'm sure that a fence cannot create a hazard. I'm sure there's a law someplace about it. I just feel that something needs to be done, and needs to be done very quickly. I'm a retired industrial safety inspector, and I can tell you, this is really hazardous. Nobody can see around this. So I'm asking the town board to issue an emergency demolition order. Get rid of this thing or remodel it, do it something so that I can see the sidewalk and the street. Even the street's a problem. I can't see that. So I wish you luck.
Thanks. Matt, you familiar with this at all?
I was at the time of the initial complaint. I'm just looking up the information right now. I see everything that's in progress, and I'll provide a full report to this board once I get all the information compiled and get.
Yeah, I know
we'll get
that
some action
when
on
the
it.
inspector was over, I think a month after they did it, he said, well, my fence, the 4-foot fence, is a violation. And he wrote down in his notes that he was going to contact the installer to fix that. It's still there. This is 6 months. I figured, well, summertime, they're busy. It's not summertime no more. So, but that's not the issue. The issue is even if you put a 3-foot fence there, what am I going to be able to see? Can I see that sidewalk? I don't think so. I think you need to move that part of the fence back, maybe 6 foot or so, just to make it easier for everybody. I don't want to kill somebody. I don't want to run over no kids. I used to be an EMT. That's not a pleasant sight. I wish you luck.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Anybody else like to speak?
I just have one thing on resolution 10, it's not 2 15 horsepowers, it's 1 15 horsepower on the east side and 10 horsepower on the north side. I don't know if that matters, but it's referring to 2 15 horsepower.
Yeah, so one would be 10 horsepower and the other one would be 15.
Yeah, I just don't know if it matters, so I thought I'd better bring it up.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the roll, please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Supervisor Raffino?
Yes. Thank you all for attending.
See it.
Chief.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's a powerful motor. I know.
Yep, see you tomorrow. Out of all this nonsense here.
I guess I'm recording.